Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 24th of August. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you take some what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, okay, now in terms of VS, the buy signals we had last week, we've still got one left, which is the NQ one, the DAX one. Made the possible near miss target, ESTX made the possible near miss target, and there are currently no others. Now we've got a double top which is broken down here on yes, it's got a very attractive target in the 7605 7620 area, which is a pretty obvious technical area to be looking for the next sizable support if we break the current support, but I'll come to that on the RTH charts. But NQ, possible double top breaking down there too. We could alternatively have a head and shoulders forming here, but I would say that's not really been forming. We've actually already made a lower low below this low. So we will see how that goes. Haven't quite managed that on the others, but tech obviously is not currently leading, which is suggesting that we may well go down further. RTY has been holding up better, possible alternate right shoulder forming there too. Double top is broken down with a target in the 2922 to 2944 area. YM throughout this move, well, since before this move started, this has looked kind of like a bull flag forming, and it still looks like kind of like a bull flag forming. Looking at DAX, double top is broken down with a target in the 25,670 to 25,810 area. ESTX, not really clear what's happening here. Nikkei, we've got basically a dual setup here, which is we've got a possible double bottom, which could break up and take us along the way back to the high. Alternatively, I was talking about this being a possible bear flag on the bigger picture, and we've got basically, if this is a bear flag, then I've got a head and shoulders here, and it's a decent one. That on a breakdown would be looking basically for a retest of this low in the 6,500 area. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And the first thing to say is that we are, on ES, we are testing the daily middle band, and we're on Thursday and Friday. On SPX, we are testing the daily middle band. On the Qs, we are testing the daily middle band, and we're testing the daily middle band on IWM as well. Dia has broken down through it and spent the last 2 days of last week below it, and has come back and touched this rising support trend line here. Now, this obviously is a potential support area as well. I'm not really expecting to see we could see a retest of this high if it holds support here. I'm not really expecting to see it go back to resistance, because of course we've already got a bigger trend line there which we've already hit, but I am wondering about retest of the high from here, and we do have a lot of decent support that we have been testing. Not got an awful lot in terms of the short term on in terms of signals and so on. We've got nothing on the hourly on SPX, nothing on the 15-minute. On Qs, we had an RSI 5 buy signal on the hourly chart, but that's already pretty much made target. On the Qs, we could set up more divergence here with retests of the lows, but at the moment we really got very little. RSI 14 buy signal on the 15-minute that's already reached possible near miss target. On Dia, nothing really on the hourly, and a played out RSI 5 buy signal on the 15-minute chart, but as you can see, I've drawn in the possible bull flag here, and it's really not bad. In terms of IWM, we've got, this is the test of the daily middle band, of course. The buy signals, the sell signals that we had on SPX have reached the possible near miss target on SPX and NDX, on QQQ. So they're pretty much out of the game now. Hourly chart, nothing to see on IWM. And 15-minute RSI 14 buy signals fixed and RSI 5 buy signals fixed on IWM, and they both either made target or reached possible near miss target. So we've got possible support here. This is an inflection point. This could go either way, but we are testing some pretty decent support already. In terms of DAX, we had an RSI 5 sell signal there too, albeit a weak one. That's already made target, and again, we are testing the daily middle band. On Nikkei, testing the daily middle band as well. So we're testing an awful lot of daily middle bands, and of course those are always a decent support level where you can see a low and a reversal back up to test the prior high. All right, great. Let's have a look at the dollar. I was leaning towards, last night I was leaning towards seeing a rally here. We have seen a rally, and we've already reached the possible near miss target without actually going far or testing anything apart from the new week pivot. In terms of the others, USD, we've got a tiny little double top which is starting to break down. Sell signal that reached possible near miss target. GBP, sell signal that reached possible near miss target. USD/JPY, buy signal that's reached possible near miss target. USD CAD, buy signal that has reached the full target. And Australian dollar and NZ, we've got sell signals which have not yet reached the possible near miss target. Might see a bit more of a rally here. Overall, DX is currently in a downtrend, and I'm leaning towards seeing a test of the low in the 95.5 area, which, as you can see with us currently at 98.855, would involve a large further decline. In terms of ZB, we got a possible level bottom here. We had a sell signal that made target. Not seeing anything really to overcome the downtrend here so far. ZN, this looks like a bearish consolidation before it goes lower. This looks like you can see a sort of a loose triangle here. In terms of oil, we've seen a little bit of a decline overnight, not really an awful lot. Besant has been trailing the this massive economic war that they're going to be doing against Iran today. Not really. My expectations that this is actually particularly interesting are not really that high. So we shall see how that goes. But not really seeing anything that will move the needle. What Besant is promising to do, which I'm skeptical about, is basically attack the Gulf states and China economically in the event that they continue doing any business with Iran. I'm skeptical about that happening with either of them, and particularly, we know Trump doesn't really have much of a concern about attacking his allies, and of course, just actually started a trade war with Canada as well. But nonetheless, you don't want allies to feel that they're just people you haven't bombed yet. And if they start sort of taking warlike things, they threatened to bomb us. Trump threatened to bomb Oman the other day. So if they start taking aggressive action against the Persian Gulf states, then that's not likely to go down particularly well or have good long-term repercussions. CL is slightly off the highs, HO slightly off the highs, RBOB slightly off the highs, no sell signals there, nothing on the dailies either. NG, we are seeing, this looks like a bearish consolidation, possible bear flag or a possible triangle, and we are seeing a move up here. This starts looking interesting if we see a breaking conversion of the monthly pivot, which I've got at 2.911. GC, we've had some very promising action here, and if we're going to see further declines in the dollar, then we're probably going to see these double bottoms on GC and SI play out. The double bottom on GC as a target in the 48.35 to 49.25 range. SI, we've got a double bottom that's broken up with a target in the 71.25 to 72.50 range. We've got 60-minute sell signals fixed short term on both, but I'm leaning bullish on both of those. Palladium, more of an ambiguous setup here. We've got a double bottom that's broken up with a target, the 15.72 to 16.10 range, but we've also got a beautiful possible rising megaphone rising megaphone bear flag here as an alternate. So I'm wondering if this might deliver a retest of the lows, and this really is a nice flag. And since we broke up from this double bottom, we have, of course, come back and tested the flag resistance perfectly. Flag support. Right, platinum. Don't really have an obvious pattern here. I could draw a head and shoulders, but it wouldn't be a very good quality one. HG may well be heading back up into a retest of the high. KC, bullish consolidation, likely going to see a retest of this high. SB, wondering about some retracement here. We've actually got quite a lot of negative divergence on the daily charts. Wondering about possible head and shoulders breaking down here, but there's nothing really good quality. But we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, and that hasn't reached the possible near miss target yet. On CC, looks like bullish consolidation for a retest of this high. Lumber, heading a little lower here. I am wondering about a major support break in the 540 area if it can get down that far, which could finally trigger the bearish scenario I've been talking about for the last year on the bigger picture. On CT, Bit of an inflection point here, leaning towards this going higher. Sell signal made the possible near miss target. On wheat, we've got a little bit of negative divergence here. Double bottom has made target, leaning towards heading back up and retesting this higher and probably going higher. On corn, we've already retested that high and already gone higher. Little bit of negative divergence here too, wondering about a bit of a pullback. On soy, sell signal made the possible near miss target. This is the right shoulder of a big, I think this actually was the right shoulder of the big inverted head and shoulder pattern. If we see a sustained break up over this high here, then we could see some decent action. I think because of the troubles on fertilizer, I'm pretty bullish on all of the grains here. ZL, leaning towards seeing a retest of this high as the next big target. ZL has not been cooperating so far. LE, mainly I'm watching the head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 204.45 area, and it's hard to see how Trump's new plan on beef is going to be bad for getting to that target. And HE, we've actually done a full retest of the low here. This isn't the second low or double bottom, but I'm wondering if it might find support here. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a quick look at questions, of which we have none. In which case, my pleasure as always. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.